Name is Eon, a student who wants to be a sci-fi writer but is caring for an ailing parent and younger sibling. I chose time as an issue because it's the one resource we can never get even a little extra of. Eon gains the superpower of traveling backwards and forwards in time. The restriction on the power is the character can only relive hours while copy Eon sleeps. This technology was designed by Eon to supplement the time travel ability. It's a reference and a focus to know what times Eon could travel back to. While the original design was flashy with gears and lights, in the final product black and silver design elements were chosen to emphasize the stark atmosphere of the character's life, with an audio tone used instead to indicate successful travel. With dozens of hours spent by most on entertainment in a normal week, the superpower and supporting technology were designed in part to offer a critique on how time is spent. For some, the only benefit noted will be extra hours to spend each day. For those truly pressed to the edge, perhaps the first thing noticed is that they could sleep every night restfully without consequence. I originally planned to use the Arduino LEDs, the class included LCD, and a single button for this project. I soon discovered that more buttons were needed, and after the last critique, I experimented with changing to a tiny Arduino. With all those components, however, along with power and the connecting breadboards needed, it was a very large bundle. I found an LCD shield with 6 input buttons and then realized the flashy light-up LED system with time travel indication didn't really fit the character aesthetic and added a piezoelectric buzzer to produce tones instead. I added accelerometer-based motion to activate time travel. I then designed and created a case to suit my needs, moving the power pack to a separate unit to keep size down. One significant limitation, even at this size, is the limited character display. I also considered a full-color touchscreen, but the investigation suggested I would need to create a much more complicated interface program, and with all the inputs and outputs I already wanted, I was coming up to a program size limitation on the Arduino. I explored using a cell phone armband as a case, but I disliked the overall aesthetic, although it would have been appropriate, perhaps even more so, to Eon. I explored many options for interaction in the display, but found that very simple past or live indications, along with time on the top, did a good job of telling what was going on in Eon's present moment, while using backward, forward, and now on the time travel options helped provide a reference to what the user would be doing. I added a go to the select key when it became apparent that false positives were otherwise an issue. Strengths of this design include the finished final look, the adherence to the theme, and this catchy tune indicating time travel. Weaknesses include the need to move power outside to keep the armband reasonable sized and the limitations inherent in a small display. The biggest weakness in the system is ironically time. The Arduino doesn't have an internal clock, and so while dates are generated dynamically based on current time has to be set programmatically. This could have been solved with an additional component called an RTC or real-time clock. I've discussed some of my difficulties already, such as problems with size and power. I had to make a lot of compromises between cost and aesthetics and usability. I had a great deal of difficulty figuring out how to press the buttons once I put the shield in the case, but with some help, managed to repurpose these steel rivets for the task. I also faced some difficulty in calculating previous days based on current day when crossing months, such as from November to December.